The real sound of H-Town, 97.9 The Box. Keisha Nicole got a special guest here. I'm a big R&B fan, so I'm excited to talk to him, man. He's Grammy-nominated. Gallant, welcome to the show.
Hey, what's up? Thanks for having me.
How you doing?
Chilling.
Cold?
Yeah, literally chilling. Yeah, I didn't expect it to be this cold in
You
Houston,
didn't
but I'm
expect
happy to be here.
This is like one of the first weeks of the whole entire year that it's been like this
That's
in
crazy.
Houston.
Well, I feel lucky then. I caught the lucky week.
Yeah. Have
That's
you
what's
have you been to Houston? You've been to Houston before, right?
I've been here before, yeah, like a couple times before. But I'm really excited for this. I've never been to House of Blues. We're doing that tonight, so it's gonna be really fun.
Have you had any of the Houston food before?
Not properly, no.
No.
I need some recommendations once we get
Somebody
out there.
take him to. Do you eat meat?
Yeah.
Somebody, he said, yeah, what do you mean?
Yeah,
Because most people in the industry don't eat meat no more. That's why
That's
I
true.
said.
Yeah.
But I was just thinking yesterday, I had like a buffalo steak, like medium rare. So I was like,
Buffalo
oh,
steak.
All right. Yeah. Somebody take this man to
The
turkey leg hut.
That's what I was
Please
getting
and
to.
thank you. Take him to turkey leg hut.
Man, so Sweet Insomnia, great project front to
thank
back,
you.
by the way. And I was telling you when you walked in here, I'm not going to front like I have been sitting on and listening to it for about a week or anything. I listened to it today, and I was like, whoa, like this is a great piece of work. I mean, the
Thank you.
entire album.
Thank you very much.
Sweet Insomnia, though, why that?
I thought lyrically everything was very bittersweet. When I was getting over depression, stuff like that, I had to kind of just challenge every negative thought with a positive thought. And so everything came out just very bittersweet. You see both sides of everything, so, and I couldn't sleep while I was making the whole project. This was like my third attempt to finally get something on wax that I really liked, since I've been working on it since 2017, basically. So, it just took a long time to get here, but everything that's in the album is fresh from November up until now. November last year up until now, and Sweet Insomnia just seemed like the perfect way to sum up the sound and the process.
You said you have suffered depression. I feel like it's talked about a lot more. But like when we were younger, you don't hear people kind of like identify it as depression, and you be like, oh, I'm going through some stuff. But like a lot of people are talking about depression now. When did you realize you had depression?
I was in and out of therapy for a while, so like during I went up to New York for college. So, around that time is when it, got really bad. But you're right. It's definitely like a little stigmatized for sure, especially like from a black male perspective. You can't really, say that. So it took a while for me to even come to terms with it myself. And I'm just lucky that I was able to write, a bunch of music so I could channel it somehow.
Right. Right through it, right? You went to school, though. You kind of took a different route than a lot of people, because sometimes artists, they're like, I know this is what I want to do. I want to do music, and I'm going to go through with this. But you actually went to college for...
It was complicated, but I went for music, but NYU has a bunch of different schools split up. So my school was the individualized study school. So I studied like some music in there. I studied Japanese the whole time. Got to do like some anthropology and sociology stuff, but it was a fun time.
How can anthropology and sociology tie into music?
I think like...
Do you ever use it? Like, I mean, can you ever like use what you learned there for music?
Sometimes, I like patterns, a lot. So sometimes I'll be, like even in the musical landscape, everything kind of just circles back, even though it circles back in a different way. It's like you have an appreciation for stuff that's like kind of 25 years ago-ish. And that always finds itself back in the music of whatever that current time is.
I get this, I don't want to say old soul, because I hate when people tell me that. You have an old soul. I think kind of like just a seasoned spirit. Like you kind of like, even on your music, I hear just, kind of like the 90s kind of vibe and like that energy on there.
Thank you.
You weren't around in the 80s, so where did that come from?
I mean, I like to listen to a lot of, like Tony Braxton's albums and Babyface's albums, and I think like as a kid at first, like I kind of even rebelled against that and just started listening to all the, the rock music my peers in school were listening to. Just because I feel like it's natural to want to be different than your parents and different than your family sometimes, and but I always kind of found my way back to that. So I think it's just one of those things. And you know how it is, like R&B music from that time, it just makes you feel something that you don't really get from too many other genres of music.
You just don't feel it. Like I could turn on a Tony Braxton song, and I like literally haven't had a heartbreak in so long, but I feel like, damn, I just went through a heartbreak.
Exactly.
I'm just recovering from a heartbreak. But you're from that, even that area, that DMV area, from like where Tony Braxton's from, or like, who's it from? Maya, Genuine, or those some people that you were listening to growing up too?
Definitely, yeah. Absolutely.
Who's one of your favorites?
Oh man, I mean Brandy is my all-time favorite.
Okay.
You know, not from the DMV,
Yeah.
but you know, Brandy's crazy. Babyface, you know, my all-time favorite. I wanted to be like him so bad.
Have you met Babyface?
Yeah, we worked on a couple of songs in the studio. But
how was
he's
that?
it's great. You know, he's really great to work with. He's such a hard worker too. You know, and he's so humble, and he has such an ear for you know hot music too and new music.
Yeah, I got a
So-
question on that one.
Yeah.
All right, because I've always said that Babyface writes the most sippingest love songs ever, right?
Yeah.
And Stevie Wonder happens to write like the smoothest love songs. It's like it was effortless to him. So
Yeah, I get that.
in terms of who made a better love song to you, you don't really have to answer it. I'm just curious. Stevie or Babyface?
I think you know I'm a little bit more cynical, you know, with my worldview. So I think that in a weird way, I think Babyface is the way that he puts his words together.
Yeah.
It doesn't. It's a little bit more thought out. You know,
Right.
it has like a little bit more. I don't even know what to say, but it is a different approach because
Yeah.
you're right. Like Stevie's love songs, it just comes so easy and it's so positive, and you're like you're in like a commercial for like medicine on
it's
TV
like
and everything. You're dressed
you're
in
right.
white.
Yeah.
Everybody's having a good time. Yeah, Babyface is it's like a little bit more pain underneath. you
Yeah.
know?
Pain, and you can make love to it.
Exactly.
You know what I
Exactly.
mean?
I still, to this day, Babyface has one of the coldest lines I've ever heard.
What's that line?
I think of you on 2 occasions, as day and as night. So I'm like thinking to myself, like, yo, Babyface, like, what about the rest of the day? You leave her hanging?
That's day. Oh, well, the middle of the day. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
See,
I get that.
see?
I get that.
He
Yeah,
bad.
afternoon.
Babyface is cold. Kenneth Babyface Edmonds is one of the coldest writers
Yes.
ever,
This is
and also one of the
true.
greatest simp writers of all time.
Not Sim Writers.
I Make Love to You, is that a Simps record?
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Well, I guess if you say that. No, I don't use the word simp though.
Fine.
In your feelings.
Yeah.
There you go. It's
Vibes,
2019.
vibes,
Okay,
right.
Yeah,
in, your,
okay.
Vibes, right.
in your
Yeah.
all right.
feelings. I want to talk about your vocals because as I sit here and talk to you, kind of have kind of this, you know, I wouldn't call it like super deep voice, but it's not how it sounds. Obviously, on a record, you have this high falsetto. Where did you learn to do that? Were you just like singing as a kid one day and then you realized you had that?
I mean, I feel like because I make so much of my music just by myself, I got to kind of experiment and just play around, you know. And so there were definitely times where I'd be working on something, nothing good. Like I'd be, you know, like a kid at this point. But, you know, I'd be working on something, trying to get it to sound away for like, you know, months. And so I would just try and like fine tune it. And once I finally hit it, then I'd be like, all right, that sounds like something that people can actually listen to without, you know, covering their ears. And then it was just, you know, the practice, you know, just constantly doing that over and over. It eventually just turned into something that I could control a little bit better.
Do you feel like the state of R&B right now is kind of going back to what it was? Because I hear a lot of people sampling even like the 90s music, but some people who are sampling it don't have that feel still under the music. Like they're what they're saying isn't kind of like how we used to feel when we heard a 90s music, a 90s song. Do you feel like R&B is going back though to like its original like roots and getting those records on the radio?
I mean, I feel maybe like a little bit of both. Like I think it's going back to the roots to get inspiration. But like I actually like where it's at right now. You know, I feel like individuality in 2019, 2020 is really celebrated. So everybody in the space is doing R&B their way, coming from a very unique perspective. And it's given a lot of other people who didn't necessarily see the music that they liked in the mainstream kind of media
Good point.
10,
Right.
12 years ago. Something to aspire to and something else to be inspired by. So it's like a continual chain of just inspiration that I think going back and pulling from something that connects to you in a nostalgic way can just illuminate.
Did you feel that you would ever like arrive at this moment? Because I know a lot of people are on their journey to wanting to be even like nominated for a Grammy. Did you feel like, oh, that was really possible? Like we think like, okay, I believe in myself. I know I can do it. But in the back of your mind, you're like, I'm not really gonna, you know what I mean? Did you really
Yeah.
think that you would one day be nominated for a Grammy? Because there's so many artists.
I mean, I definitely didn't expect it at all. You know, I was on tour during the time and it really wasn't going well. Like we had been touring the record for I think way longer than we should have been. I was feeling it. My band was feeling it. We just weren't really happy with it. And I've never gotten acknowledged for any kind of award, you know, like anywhere. So not even just music, just in my whole life. So
Wow.
to get the call in the middle of that, you know, kind of dark space and be like, hey, you were nominated for something and it was a Grammy, that was surreal to me. So, you know, I thought it was impossible to perform on TV, for example. So I didn't know how I was gonna get through that, you know. So I definitely wasn't even. It wasn't even in my head that could even be something that I would be able to go to, you know.
I know it's such a cliche question because people ask all the time, but who's like one of your dream collaborations?
Oh man, I mean, Brandy, I do think she's the greatest of all time.
Yeah,
you know?
I think so too. Vocal Bible, but yeah.
Yeah, you know, and she I feel like, you know, she's such a great spirit too. So it's been on my list for years, but like, you know, once that, if it ever finally happens, I mean, that would be crazy to me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, speaking of like kind of crazy, you're on the road right now with Sabrina Claudio. Like,
Oh yeah.
that whole show, just not even being in the building, it sounds like 100% vibes. Like, you have to take your lady, you have to
Yeah.
make sure you fly,
Orgasmic, it's
all of that,
orgasmic.
right?
Definitely.
Like, how
Definitely been-
exactly. What has tour life been like on this particular trek out?
It's been great. I mean, it's been really, you know, I've never had this much, you know, fun, never been this relaxed on a tour. You know, usually it's like, there's a lot going on in my head and a lot going on around. It's just, you know, musically, it's such a great fit. I feel like I'm in a really cool space. My album just came out, so the bulk of the tour was kind of before my album. And so I was able to kind of tweak things, figure things out a little bit. You know, Sabrina and I have a bunch of, you know, mutual friends, so it's just all family,
Like
you know.
family.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, so and the audiences have been phenomenal too.
Speaking of like family, right? I
Yeah.
keep going, like, the moment I saw the album pop up and I was like, oh, instant download, right? I looked at the title track, Sweet Insomnia with Black, and I was like, ooh, this is gonna mess me up. This is gonna mess me up. How did that collaboration come about? Because I know you're such a do-it-yourself creative,
Yeah.
especially in this era with like SoundCloud and things of that nature, where you have to kind of like put it together yourself in order to make it work. But for this particular record, what was your process?
Well, it was different. I think, you know, I hadn't really collabed really a lot until maybe like last year. And so that process I was just trying to get comfortable with. You know, like I said, like I really like making stuff by myself. Sometimes I record all my own vocals. You know, I got my homeboy Stint, who is my best friend. He produced this album basically in its entirety, and my debut album, Ology 2. So I usually keep it small. I think, you know, with Black, he delivers something in such a direct way. And I knew that was what was missing from the record, because I had a second verse, and I just kept retooling it. I wasn't really happy with it. So I actually, you know, it was one of the rare occasions where we still haven't met yet. We'll probably meet on set when we shoot the video. But I just knew he would be perfect for it, so I had to just hit him up. And the only other time that's happened, I feel like, is you know, like when I DM Genuine and asked him to be in my video for Sleep On It. You know, I usually like to have just some kind of prior relationship, and instead of just hitting people up cold. But when you know that that's the perfect thing and that's gonna make it work, I just had to go for it.
What is it about recording by yourself that you like so much? I mean, I know it's comfortable and you have control, but
I think I don't know, actually. I think maybe for me it's, you know, just like a comfort thing. You know, I really spent a lot of time alone as a kid. Like, you know, I play.
Well, were you your
Yeah.
only child?
No, I have a younger brother. But I liked it. You know, I was born in like the woods, basically.
oh wow.
So, you know, it's like suburbs, but it's like really wooded area, really quiet. I played a lot of video games, so I just remember like sitting around playing like hours and hours of video games by myself, and that would be some kind of grounding thing for me, you know. So I think when I'm making music, sometimes I just like to go back to that like security blanket, you know. It's like having that heart pillow when you're a kid, you know, and you hear that heartbeat. So
Are you the only one in your family that sings, or
yeah, I'm the only musical dude in my family.
is it ever
Yeah.
like Christmas, like, hey, can you sing? Can you sing this for me?
Yeah, definitely, which is great though.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, things definitely change. So I'm happy when it's when they want to hear it.
Yeah. And you got a birthday coming up, huh?
Oh yeah, that's right. I keep
Yeah.
forgetting it's November already. That's crazy.
I keep forgetting.
Oh man.
Any plans? I know you're on the
Scorpio.
road.
Yeah, well, actually, I think I'll be off at that point.
Okay.
So I think I'll be back in LA. I don't know. I gotta figure it out. I'm terrible at celebrating my birthday.
I was gonna ask. You're just such a chill person. How do you
Yeah.
celebrate? Like, what's the
What is he-
exciting? What makes you excited?
No, not even that. What does he do on his downtime? He's like,
Yeah.
I'm just gonna relax, play video games, watch more anime. I'm like, what does Gallant do when he's just like, I ain't got nothing to do except be me right now.
It's crazy. I mean, sometimes I have moments, like I'm very up and down, so I like the long stretches of just like diving into like an anime, watching it from beginning to end. And then, sometimes I'll be like, all right, let's be like 17 again. Let's go out to the clubs and let's do it and let's see what happens.
No. See, you mentioned you were a Scorpio, so I had to ask, do you believe in Mercury being in retrograde? Do you believe in that?
You know what? I didn't for the longest time, but my girl does actually, and she kept bringing it up. And then things would line up. And then I'd be like, all right, I see what you're saying. And like, nothing will work. My laptop will just shut down for no reason. My phone won't won't do anything. The only problem that I have with it is that it happens like every week. It seems like when is Mercury not in retrograde?
Mercury's in retrograde.
Exactly.
I'm like,
and it's like wasn't it just in retrograde? like,
listen, your life is just messed up. Okay, stop blaming it on that.
You get no breaks. You get no breaks. But so Mercury in retrograde, for those that don't know, is right now from October 31st to November 20th.
Oh, so it started yesterday?
Yeah, it started yesterday.
Why it started yesterday.
Exactly. So if Keisha, if your exes come in your life again, you know what happened.
I don't have time.
You know what happened.
I don't have time.
Oh, man.
Gallant, we appreciate you coming through. I want you to introduce your single.
Girl, I know you're tired of this argument. Why don't we sleep on it? This is my new single, Sleep on It, from my album, Sweet Insomnia.
I didn't even have my
Hey,
camera
bro, we weren't even like prepared. Hold on, wait. Time out. Time out.
Hold on.
Dang, I might have to recruit him for like some of the ladies now. Like, hey, I'm trying to holler at you. I got Gallant here with me.
Wait,
Like, help me out.
Gallant, can you do that one more time?
No, yeah,
Ready?
of course.
1, 2, go.
Girl, I know you're tired of this argument. Why don't we sleep on it? My new single, Sleep on It, is available now.
I love it. Thank you.
Of course.
We got it.